Hello, everybody. This is Brad Swift of Gaia's Call 2.0, and I'm here with my lovely co-host Marla,
Hi.
and we're looking forward to exploring a particular topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart here lately. In fact, I wrote about it, let's see, back around January the 23rd or so. So we're kind of the background. Well, first off, Marla, hi. How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm here in North Carolina, and today you are in, it looks like Singapore. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm still in Singapore and it's like 26 Celsius, and I know for you it must be freezing.
Yes, it's about 20 degrees Fahrenheit here
Yeah.
in the mountains of North Carolina. We're in the midst of a polar uh, climate change effect that's affecting the entire, most of the United States, actually.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to kind of make note of, just, so the uh, uh, listening audience can appreciate. Uh, Mahler, as we get ready to record these, Marla is trying to stay awake while I'm still trying to wake up.
So if you see either of us yawning, it's for different reasons, but
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly, exactly. So anyway, as I was saying, in our previous couple episodes, we were talking about the poly crisis and that kind of overlapping ecological, social, and spiritual challenges that are shaping our world. So, in this episode, we want to go in a little deeper direction, asking the question, how do we live inside this reality without losing ourselves? Losing ourselves in the multiple different ways that we might lose ourselves, getting into despair, giving up, just all the different emotional traumas that we might that we do need to deal with. So there's something that came up on my radar screen over the past few weeks that like I said, I actually wrote about, um, and that is this whole distinction or way of kind of operating in the midst of the polycrisis, grieving globally while thriving locally. So we want to kind of explore what that might look like and see what we can do to bring a sense of peace and maybe even a little serenity in the midst of all the craziness that we're dealing with itself. Um, so uh, let's look at the questions. I'm having a little trouble with some of my screens here, so if you bear with me for just a moment, I try to get back to where I need to be. Um, I'm wondering if you're on, listening this day, just take a moment and look and see what emotionally might you be experiencing? You know, what does it look like or feel like to grieve globally? And since, part of the reason Marla and I are together is we're in two different aspects of the world, on opposite sides of the world, we may be experiencing a little differently. So, uh, Marla, what's it been like for you dealing with the polycrisis and this whole notion of grief?
Yeah, I mean it's been scary, but it's been a vocabulary that's been in my word use for quite a while now. And in my own community here in Singapore, the Eco Chapter community actually brought this up during one of our meetups just a couple of weeks ago, and I put it on a piece of paper and I asked all the participants that came for our meetup, and I said, "What is the polycrisis? What does it mean to you, and how do you feel about it?" And of course, as I kind of imagined, many people had never ever heard of the word polycrisis, and a lot of them were
Mm.
like, "Oh, I'm going to Google this. I'm going to look it up." And I told them that they were not allowed to use the internet. They had to talk to each other and find out. Um, At
Good
the
for
end of the
you.
night, it was really, I think, quite terrifying for a lot of people to realize that, we'd been talking about all these crises in silos, like you said, right? The social crisis, the climate crisis, the plastic crisis, justice crisis, and then all of the things that we see in the news as well. So it's been, I think, difficult for me as well to kind of introduce these aspects to people, especially if they're not in their radar. But I think like what we're also both trying to do, you and me, Brad, are like trying to hold the space and build that life raft to say like, yes, we're in a poly crisis, but if we made this crises, all these crises together, communities can bring that out and we can fix it or at least find support and solace in each other. And also for us on this side of the world, it's quite different, because we're in the global south, even though Singapore is not exactly the global south, but we're
Mm,
surrounded by the global south.
mhm,
We've been also dealing with climate disasters and unnatural weather patterns, like all the flooding that's been going on and typhoons in Philippines and flooding in Indonesia and all over Asia. We're just coming out of the monsoon season here as well, so it's not cold, it's just wet.
mm,
So it's quite scary, I guess, if you also don't understand that all these things are going on because you see all the different aspects of doom and gloom and horrible things happening on the news, from Venezuela to the US to the disasters around the world and all these in Greenland and strange things are going on. And I think for me, it's really to be local is really like that community that I'm trying to build here. And, through the articles, trying to educate people and say, like, yeah, you're not alone at the end of the day. We're all in this together. And how do we, also thrive globally from these local communities as well. So that's kind of how I've been feeling here. It's been quite difficult, but also, I guess, heartening to know that people, once they know, it's like, okay, now what do we do?
yeah, yeah, and that's a whole another topic that we might explore at some point is do we, those of us who quote are in the know, so to speak, who are aware of what's going on in the interrelationship of all these different crises, do we share that with others, particularly the others that mean the most to us? That's one of the things that I'm kind of tussling with myself, and a whole nother conversation we could go down. But for those who are aware of it, uh, we're not talking about, when we're talking about grieving globally, at least I'm not talking about, uh, I think the common term these days is doom scrolling, just getting on your phone and, you know, Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, wherever you want to go, on that, and just, finding out one bad thing after another is happening. I mean, there's plenty of things going on here in the United States. We uh, politically, economically, climate-wise. Here in North Carolina, and for most of, well over half of our country, uh, are in the midst of a climate weather pattern of sub-zero weather in areas. I just saw something the other day about Florida, the southern part of our country, where typically known for its beautiful oranges and orange or fields and all that, completely frozen. To temperatures unlike they've experienced. So we've got all of this going on, and then at the same time, how do we, in the midst of that, in the midst of facing that, face on, how do we thrive locally? And I noticed for myself two of the things that have come up for me, and as I've kind of embraced and tried on this whole perspective, which, by the way, I want to just acknowledge where it came from. I originally heard about it. I'm a part of Jamie Will's Homegrown Humans online community, And somewhere in one of the conversations, he mentioned that phrase kind of in passing. But it was one of those things like, wow, that's an interesting perspective. So I did a little bit of research and found out that uh, it was actually a sermon delivered by a Unitarian minister, Dr. Molly Gordon, and she that discussion that service sermon is on YouTube if you want to look it up. Um, but as I look at that, two things that come to mind. One is I'm spending a lot more time with my loved ones. Uh, Typically in the past, uh, Ann and I, my wife and I, would go visit our grandkids. She would go on like one day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'd go on another day, maybe Thursday or Friday. Now we're going together because I want to spend more and more time with my wife and with our grandkids and with our daughter and son-in-law. So that's one of the ways I can really thrive here globally. The other way is I'm meditating a lot more often. I'm taking care of my inner and emotional self by meditating not just once a day, but once in the morning and once in the evening, and sometimes another time in the middle of the day. Again, to try to take care of my, staying emotionally centered itself. Uh, how about how about for you? What are you finding is working or not working for that matter?
Yeah, similar things. Last year for me was pretty hectic, it got to a point of burnout, I think, because I was trying to do too many things and help too many people and hold too much space for everyone else except myself. And so this year I've actually taken a whole bunch of time off and I've been writing a lot, and that always really helps. Today I went for a 4 hour walk, so my legs are dead. Um, but trying to be outside and spend time in nature, and also I'm trying to focus a little bit more on the community that I'm building and not everybody else in the world as well. Like I'm trying to deal with my circle of control, right? Like I can only do this much and that's okay. It's not my responsibility to take over everybody else's problems. It's really whatever I can do and what I think I can do within my means. And I'm also going on a little retreat similar to your meditation, but going away from Singapore because Singapore for me is really stressful, and I've been trying to infiltrate this corporate sustainability world. And I think that was also leading to the burnout last year. So for me,
Mm.
I'm going back to nature and place that I know very well. It's Sri Lanka, and it's actually where me and Brad had our first meeting in 2023. I might be in the same room actually in our next call. Um, but I'm going back to a place where I know it's the next to the ocean and the forest is there, and I have a yoga place that
Mm.
I go to, which is right on the beach. And I'm just spending like 2 weeks there just to reset and to start like 2026 properly. We're talking in February, by the way. It's the beginning of February, but I feel like I'm still in 2025 and I haven't actually started the year yet. So yeah, I mean, similar things. Like I've also felt it's a very daunting place to be in at the moment, especially like you said, for those of us in the know. It's a lot of scary things that we're reading all the time, also in order to maybe educate others or um, dampen that blow and we take it all on ourselves. And so, yeah, I'm also trying to put that space aside to make sure that I'm also taken care of and mentally, physically, and also time-wise, that I don't go down like rabbit holes where I stay up until 5 o'clock in the morning because I'm like, oh my God, I need to research this and this and this and this and this and put it into an article so that everybody else can understand it better. Um, so yeah, so similar things. Also, I've been spending lots of time with friends and family. I'm leaving in like 2 weeks, so been almost every day with somebody one on one, just so that it's like a proper conversation, not just a group of people together. Trying to, yeah, trying to give some time because I have it now and see how everybody is and check in with people and yeah, so similar things.
Yeah, I want to go back and one of the things I don't remember exactly the phrase that you used, but you were talking about your community of you said control. I would say maybe influence because I don't know that we
Circle
they
of
stated.
control. Circle of control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we have. So for me, it's about the community as well. That was the other piece in it. As we've here in the North Carolina mountains and throughout uh, the country itself, been dealing with very unexpected low temperatures and precipitation. We've got probably, as I look outside, still have probably about 4 or 5 inches of snow. And under that snow is about 2 inches of ice from a previous storm. So we had, and I didn't know this, but now here in our country, we're now naming winter storms like we for years and years we named hurricanes. Now
Right.
we're naming winter storms. So a couple of weeks ago, we had, at the time of this recording, we had the winter storm Fern. Why they would name it after a plant, I don't understand, but maybe that's because we're not going to see any ferns here for quite a few weeks. Uh, we were delivered about 2 inches of sleet and uh, ice. Um, and then right on the heels of that, the very following weekend, we got about here in our area 4 to 5 inches. I understand from one of my relatives on the coast, they got something like 12 or 16 inches on the coast of North Carolina, which is unheard of. Uh, and the whole point of this is, and what I've observed is how we as a community have pulled together. you know, checking in with our neighbors and how are you doing? And, do you have heat? And, did you lose power? Is there anything that we can do? Those of us who have means of getting out, maybe, all-wheel drive, contacting the neighbors and saying, do you want us to pick something up while we're out? That type of community. And I think first and foremost, taking care of ourselves, the whole adage about putting on your oxygen mask first, taking care of
Yeah.
yourself, emotionally and physically, then taking care of your family and your immediate loved ones, and then also looking at how can I, be a contribution and open to contribution here in my community. And if we're focusing on that area, that's where the thriving locally comes in.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean we, again, here we are on a podcast with the intention of reaching out to others globally. We also want to make a difference there, but it starts with those inner circles itself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean,
again,
even
yes,
with
go
the
ahead.
podcast, it's really just to get the awareness out there. I mean, this podcast shouldn't be where you go. Like if you need support, this podcast is really just to show that there is a bigger problem and there is an issue and just to spread the awareness and then go and find your communities, go take care of yourself, go and figure out what it is that you need, what gaps are in your life and what's causing you stress and eco anxiety or depression or apathy, and then hopefully this just opens that door for you to find the communities in your neighborhood and take care of like your people and yourself too.
Yeah, yeah. The last thing I think I want to touch on before we end this is again, notions of what other support structures or ways of looking at our current life can be supportive. Um, uh, Back in June of last year, I created what I call the one cause vow. It was kind of my way of saying, this is what I'm standing for in this fourth quarter of my life. And I've embraced it in a more deeper level. Not just say it or read it by rote, but really allow those words to come in and to look at, how to the four great truths that I've been writing about for the past year and a half, can give us a place to anchor ourselves. Are we living in a sense of the interconnectedness of our life? Are we living separately, thinking that we're separate from other people, or we're separate from the rest of the web of life itself? The whole notion of sufficiency. This is something that we certainly have seen during these inclement weather. Sharing, being willing to share our resources with each other, gives us a sense of sufficiency,
Yeah.
and that reciprocity. Yes, I'm not I'm out to be of service to my community, but am I also being open to contribution as well?
Yeah.
So all of these ultimately come down to, are we being stewards for and with the earth,
Mhm.
in collaboration with the earth? And not these like automatic answers, but a place to look and inquire into.
Yeah.
This is what I would also encourage people to just try on and see what they see, from that as well.
Yeah. Totally.
Um, Anything else you want to explore regarding this before we kind of look at what might be coming down the road?
No, I'm just agreeing with what you're saying because this year I also got sponsored to be a part of this fellowship called the Bio Leadership Fellowship. So it's really
Mm.
looking at how we are connected to nature, we are nature, and how then you become a leader in a way that, your leadership abilities or practices or methods or the way that you hold space for people or build communities are based on nature principles, natural principles, and rather than like you said, like being completely disconnected about it, searching for profit before people and planet, looking for investing and funding before realizing that I need to do no harm. So I'm really excited to
Mhm.
start this in a month. But similar things, I'm also trying to find my way that I can, make those truths very clear to me about what it is that I'm doing. I mean, I've been in this path my whole life, so I've kind of always been on this journey, but now that I'm at this level and also with the eco chapter, now how do we bring those truths very clearly to people and have that purpose that other people can also find theirs. So yeah, I'm excited for that and resonate very much with what you just said.
Yeah. And, future episodes, some of the things that we're thinking of exploring.
Yes.
Again, this whole idea of, Earth in crisis, the ecological emergency will be a topic.
Mhm.
We're going to be reaching out to a couple of people that we know, that we think would be great guests to
Yeah.
explore these aspects further. And if you're listening to this and you think you could be one of those guests, or somebody that you would love to have be on our show, reach out to us.
Yeah.
You can find us on Substack, either at the Eco Chapter, I believe is your Substack,
Yeah.
and mine is Gaia's Call, or also you can find it on W. Bradford Swift Unlimited, I believe it is. I've been on my own Substack so long I don't even know the name of it anymore. But Gaia's Call would be the primary way to reach out to me.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Marla Lise at the Eco Chapter, or you can just go www.theecochapter.com. And my Substack is actually Marla's Musings as an Earthling.
Oh, okay.
So that's my Substack.
Very good.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
we'll be
Until
super
next time.
excited to get questions in from you guys as well, so we can discuss them. So yeah,
Yeah.
until next
Yeah,
time.
very good. Stay safe and love each other. Take care,
Yes.
everybody.
Bye.